Hello, students. Good morning to all of you. This is Dr. Muttumina Losani, Assistant Professor of English, Mother Teresa Women's University, Kodaikanal. Now I am going to present to you the subject Shakespeare. I feel immense pleasure in sharing Shakespearean comedy and its features and characteristics. Shakespearean comedy, features and its characteristics. So, what are those features and characteristics of Shakespearean comedy? Let us see point by point. Shakespearean play as a comedy. It has a happy ending, often involves a marriage. The main characteristics in Shakespeare's comedies are: first one, a struggle of young lovers to overcome problems as a result of the interference of their elders. Next one, there are elements of separation and reunification. And fourth, and mistaken identities often involving disguise. And next one is clever servant who came to the rescue of the lovers from all such problems. And they bring comic relief in the play. Family tensions that are usually resolved in the end. Complex, interwoven plot lines which are prevalent in these comedies. Frequent use of puns and other styles of comedy we are going to watch in this PPT. Comedies of Shakespeare. Before we move into the characteristics, features of comedies, let us know what are those comedies of Shakespeare. Shakespearean plays are usually classified as comedy, which are The Merchant of Venice, Twelfth Night, All's Well That Ends Well, The Tempest, Taming of the Shrew, The Winter's Tale, As You Like It, The Comedy of Errors, Love's Labour's Last, A Midsummer Night's Dream, The Two Gentlemen of Verona, The Merry Wives of Windsor, Measure for Measure, Much Ado About Nothing, Pericles, Prince of Tyre, and The Two Gentlemen of Verona. The six main aspects of comedy within Shakespearean plays. First one is mistaken identity or misconceptions. This can be seen in Shakespearean comedies such as You Like It, in which Rosaline impersonates a man in order to mentor her would-be lover into the man she secretly desires. In Twelfth Night, where a shipwrecked Viola washes up in a strange land and decides to dress up as a man to enter into service of the nobility. Next one is reason versus emotion. In Midsummer Night's Dream, Hermia disobeys her father by refusing to accept Demetrius, who is her father's wish, as her husband. Fate and Fantastica are next characteristics of comedy. The fairies Puck and Oberon in Midsummer Night's Dream mischievously toy with the characters' emotions throughout the play, and idyllic settings. The forest of Arden in As You Like It, an enchanted wood outside the city of Athens in Midsummer Night's Dream, and the mysterious Illyria in Twelfth Night served as idyllic settings. Fifth one is separation and reconciliation, and the sixth one is the happy ending. Let us move into the play to watch and observe what are those characteristics employed in the play As You Like It as a Shakespearean comedy. Let us move into the characters of As You Like It. Who are those? Duke, living in exile, Rosalind, his daughter, Frederick, his brother, and usurper of his dominions, Celia, daughter to Frederick, Amiens, Jacques, lords attending upon the banished Duke, Labu, a courtier attending upon Frederick, Charles, a wrestler, Oliver, Jacques, Orlando, sons of Sir Rowland D. Boys, Adam Dennis, servants to Oliver, Touchstone, a clown, Sir Oliver Mocktest, a vicar, Phoebe, a shepherdess, Corin and Sylvius, shepherds, Audrey, a country wench, William, a country fellow who is in love with Audrey. Shakespeare's As You Like It. As You Like It comprises 5-act comedy by William Shakespeare, and it was written and performed about 1598 to 1600, and it was published in the first folio of 1623. Shakespeare based the play on Rosalind. The play has two principal settings: the court that Frederick has usurped from his brother, the rightful duke known as the Duke Senior, the forest of Arden, where the duke and his followers, including disgruntled Jacques, are living in exile. Rosalind and the duke's daughter, who is still at court, falls in love with Orlando, who has been denied by his older brother Oliver the education and upbringing that should have been Orlando's right as a gentleman. To escape Oliver's murderous hatred, Orlando flees to the forest of Arden with his faithful old servant Adam. Rosalind is banished merely for being the daughter of the out of favor Duke Senior. She also flees to Arden, accompanied by her cousin Celia and the jester Touchstone. Excuse me. Let us move into the synopsis of the play. I hope that you are familiar with the characters of As You Like It. Let us move into the story part. Disguised as a young man named Ganymede, Rosalind encounters Orlando. Lovesick for his Rosalind and promises to cure him of his lovesickness by pretending to be that very Rosalind, so that Orlando will learn something of what women are really like. Oliver appears in the forest, intending to kill Orlando. When Orlando saves his brother from a hungry lioness and a snake, Oliver expresses deep remorse. He then falls in love with Celia. The revelation of the girls' true identities precipitates a group wedding ceremony at the end of the play. When word arrives that Frederick has repented, the Duke's exile is at an end. A group of forest inhabitants, who are William, Audrey, Sylvius, and Phoebe, and the courtier Lebo, further round out the cast of characters. An abundance of song complements the play's amorous theme of idyllic setting. The play is considered to be one of Shakespeare's great or middle comedies. Summary of the play. In Act 1, Scene 1, after the death of Sir Rowland D. Boyce, Orlando was mistreated by his greedy brother Oliver. Oliver attempts to get Orlando, who hurts in an upcoming wrestling match against Charles. In Scene 2, after winning the wrestling match, Orlando falls in love with Rosalind, the niece of Duke Frederick. Duke Frederick was an enemy of an Orlando's late father. Scene 3, Duke Frederick banishes Rosalind. Rosalind, along with Celia and the court jester Touchstone, travel to the forest of Arden. Rosalind disguises herself as a man, while Celia disguises herself as a shepherdess. In Act 2, Duke Senior prefers living in the woods. He found the life at his court was artificial and empty. He really enjoyed his life in the woods. Furious at the disappearance of his daughter and niece, Duke Frederick summons Oliver because Duke Frederick believes that the women have run off with Orlando. Adam warns Orlando that Oliver plans to burn Orlando in his sleep, and the two men decide to leave the city. In fourth scene, the forest of Arden, Rosaline, Celia, Touchstone encounter two shepherds, Corin and the love-struck Silvius, who is hopelessly in love with the shepherdess Phoebe. Rosaline and Celia decide to buy a property in the forest, Arden. In the meanwhile, Jacques is wallowing in his own depression. He has written a song suggests that Duke Senior's decision to live in the forest was a foolish choice. In scene 6, Adam cannot keep walking through the forest because he is so hungry. Orlando continues on alone to find food for Adam. Duke Senior and Jacques are bantering when Orlando bursts out of the forest demanding food. Duke Senior realizes that Orlando is the son of his friend, Sir Roland, the Duke of Old Friend. Duke's old friend. In Act 3, Scene 1, Duke Frederick warns Oliver that if Oliver does not find Orlando within 1 year's time, Duke Frederick will take all of his lands and wealth. Rosalind, disguised as Ganymede, meets the love-struck Orlando in the forest. She tells him that she can cure him, but he must agree to woo her every day as if she were Rosalind. He also agrees. In Scene 3, Touchstone plans to marry Audrey. He has a vicar ready to perform the wedding, but Jacques convinces Touchstone to wait to do it in a real church. In Scene 4, Rosalind is distraught because Orlando has not arrived for his daily meeting with her as Ganymede. Corin tells Rosalind and Celia that they should come watch Silvius try to woo the disinterested Phoebe. In Scene 5, Rosalind, was disguised as Ganymede, berates Phoebe for her cruel rejection of Silvius' love. But Phoebe falls in love with Ganymede and employs Silvius to help her pursue. In Act 4, Rosalind, who was disguised as Ganymede, gives Orlando a lesson in love, teasing him, warning him about the difficulties of women. Rosalind later confesses to Celia that her love for Orlando has grown even stronger. In Scene 2, Jacques and some of her other nobles sing a song about how all men are cheated on by their wives. Rosalind receives a love letter from Phoebe, but she rejects it. Oliver reports that Orlando was injured while saving Oliver from a lion attack. In the fifth scene, and that is the end of the play, scene 1, act 5, the touchstone insults William, a young would-be suitor who is interested in Audrey. In scene 2, act 5, Oliver wants to marry Eleanor, who is Celia in disguise, and Rosalind disguised as Ganymede sets up other pairings. She tells Orlando that Rosalind will be at the wedding, and she promises Phoebe that she will marry her if she marries any woman at all. And scene 3, Touchstone and Audrey discuss their married future while a pair of pages sing a nonsensical song about love. Rosalind, Celia remove their disguises, and all the expected couples marry. News arrives that Duke Frederick found God and he decided to become a monk, so everyone can safely return to court. So, this is the end of the beautiful story. How the story begins with banishment and quarrel between brothers, and how the Duke's daughter and Rosaline were banished, and they are searching for the true love, their soulmate in the forest, and at last they reconciled. All the problems are resolved with the help of the clowns and the elders. At last, the play ends in wedding. Here, Shakespeare has employed so many symbols which add beauty and luxury to his play. The deer is one such symbol. The deer in the scene symbolizes the just injustice of usurpers like Duke Frederick, who has taken over lands and are not rightly his. Horns represents the horns or antlers of animals are mentioned many times during the play, and are a symbol of cuckolding or of a man being cheated on by his wife. And Forest of Arden is another symbol in As You Like It, is an idyllic place that borders on the mythical, much like Duke Senior and his followers are compared to Robin Hood and his band of merry men. It has a feeling of unreality, of being a world apart. It is an impermanent refuge. The forest is an impermanent refuge, a place where characters dwell temporarily and are permanently changed by their experiences. In this regard, the forest is a symbol of personal transformation. So, the forest of Arden is an instrument or a tool for each and every character for their personal transformation, I could say. And the snake and the lion are also symbols Shakespeare used. The snake, which represents Oliver's dishonorable character. The lion symbolizes strength and power. Orlando is now in the position of power and can decide his brother's fate. So these are the major symbols you could notice in the play As You Like It. And I'm very, and one more thing I would like to state here, that very beautiful lines that everyone should remember and memorize these lines, which has a reflection on the uh, the journey of life, how Shakespeare divided this every human being's life into various stages. It was uttered by Jacques in Act 2, Scene 7. Jacques' speech in Act 2, Scene 7. It is very famous speech. All the world is a stage. You might have heard of these lines, but it's when you read the whole passage, you will really enjoy how Shakespeare reflected the essence and the quality of life, and how he distinguishes the different stages of human beings' life in a beautiful way. All the world is a stage, and all men and women merely players. So the world is a stage, and we are all merely players. I could say that we are all puppets in the hand of the puppeteer. They have their exist. Exist means birth. Sorry, exist means death, and their entrance is birth. One man in his time plays many parts. Yes, we have to play many roles in our life. He acts, his acts being 7 ages. So he classified into 7 ages, that is 7 stages of life. At first, he is an infant, mewling and pucking in the nurse's arm. Then the weaning schoolboy. First one is infant, next one is schoolboy, with his satchel and shining morning face and creeping like a snail, unwilling to go to school. And then third one is lover, sighing like a furnace with the awful ballad made to his mistress' eyebrow. And next one is a soldier, full of strange oaths, bearded like the bard, jealous in honor, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation. So first one is infant stage, next one is schoolboy stage, and the lover stage is third one, fourth one is a soldier, and fifth one is even in the cannon's mouth, and then the justice in fair round belly with a good cap and lined with eyes severe and beard of formal cut, full of wise sauce and modern instances, and so he plays his part. That is his fifth part, he getting old. And the sixth age shifts into one lean and slippered pantaloons with spectacles on nose and pouch on side. His youthful hose well saved a world too wide. For his shrunk shank, his big manly voice turning again toward childish trouble. So again, Wordsworth in one of his poems, he says that child is the father of mankind, and uh, old age is a second childhood. So here, the man uh, uh, came to a came to his second childhood stage, that is his old age. The last scene of all that ends his strange, eventful history is second childishness and mere oblivion. Sans teeth. So at that time, he lost his teeth, lost his eyesight, lost his taste, and sans everything. Sans means no. So this is how this passage terrifically, amazingly, very expressive of our life. So the credit goes to Shakespeare's language. And I stated here and other more quotations for your kind notice that these you could remember and memorize. Whenever possible, you can quote in your writings. Well said, that was laid on with a trowel. That must I from the smoke into the smother, from tyrant duke into a tyrant brother. How full of briars is this working day a world? Beauty provoketh thieves sooner than gold. Therefore, my age is as lusty winter, frosty but kindly. In thy youth thou wast as true a lover as ever sight upon a midnight pillow. We that are true lovers run into strange capers. Thou speakest wiser than thou wert aware of. So these are the famous quotes in As You Like It. And these are all other quotes from the same play. And you can read and get to know, and you are familiar. Please be familiar with these lines. That will be of use, great use in your for your higher studies, and also for your life. You can recollect now and then Shakespeare's lines, which lingers in your mind always, if you remember these lines. And this is how uh, I begin this lesson with uh, features and characteristics of comedies. And I brought you an example from As You Like It. And then we have seen the summary of the play, characters of the play, summary and the synopsis of the play, and also themes of the play. And at last, the famous quotes of Shakespeare in As You Like It. Thank you for watching. And I will meet you with one more lessons in one more lesson on Shakespeare play. Thank you once again.